Good morning. Boom. What are we on, Thursday? Friday Eve? I think so. It's a good day. Hope y'all doing well. Y'all, I wanted to talk a little bit more about this golden age that you've heard me go on and on about. I read some literature yesterday, actually, talking a little bit about it. And I kind of wanted to go into some things to look forward to about the golden age. I know I've talked a lot about what's going on now and how you could tell we're in this transition phase. You know, there's things changing, frequencies are elevating. But what are some things to look forward to, right, when we finally get there to the permanent golden age? What are some good things? Okay, well, one, you know, they say, from what I've read, all disease will be eradicated. You'll be able to heal yourself, but all these diseases that we're plagued with now, they'll be gone. And you know, that's actually not surprising, to be honest. We have a lot of ailments and sicknesses now in our society that is a result of poor lifestyle choices and, you know, bad diet. A lot of it's bad diet. A lot of it's the sugar and the stuff that we're eating. We're eating a bunch of garbage. I mean, let's just, you know, if you're not eating whole food, if you're eating, you know, the stuff that's like in the center of the grocery store, you know, the aisles that are in the middle of the store, not on the outside perimeter. A lot of times you're eating flavored preservatives and chemicals, you know. And I don't preach that on a pedestal like I never do because, you know, I have a potato chip, you know. Yeah, sure, certainly. But I'm aware, you know, I'm aware of what's going on and limit as much as I can of that, you know. And I think that's what it's going to take, guys. You're going to have to be aware of your body and be aware of the stuff that you're eating. Actually read that label. Read that thing, the nutrition facts, the chart. And then don't just read the stuff on the chart. There's a fine print next to it and on the side of it. They find creative ways to hide it. But if you start reading that, you'll realize that, you know, we're eating a bunch of poison. Yeah, little tiny amounts of poison. We're just eating it, you know. And after a while, if you've been doing it for so long, it creates an effect, you know. Carcinogenic effect. Anyway, all right, so 1, diseases will be eradicated. That'll be nice. Can you imagine that? That'd actually be pretty cool. And that gets me to my other point. On 2, we're not going to eat as much. Now, I'm going to tell you from my experience, you know, my personal experience anyway, when you start getting healthy, right, and becoming more proactive about that, you'll notice that you eat less anyway. You will notice the craving to eat will go down. So, that's not surprising me in the golden age that naturally we'll just eat less. And we'll learn to sustain ourselves on the less amount of food. It'll probably be something like less quantity, but the quality is going to be up there. And I've also noticed in my life when I've upped the quality, I don't have to eat as much of it. So, like, I'll give you a specific example. And I don't always get a chance to do this, but I try to get grass-fed butter, like organic grass-fed butter. I'll spend the extra, you know, $2 or $3 and get that because I cook with butter a lot, with almost just about anything I can. And I've noticed that since I've done that, you know, I don't need as much. And then I have noticed that the quality, since I upped the quality, it does seem to have a better effect on my body. So something to keep in mind. Grass-fed butter. Well, not the butter, but the cow, right? They fed the cow. Anyway, all right. Third one, and these three are going to be kind of relatable, to be honest. Talking about health and food, diet, and your body. We're going to look better. Okay? As you can imagine, right? As people start to eat less and then eat less garbage, guess what? As a natural result, everyone's going to look better than they do. Okay? So that's going to be another thing to look forward to. There's going to be a lot of fit, pretty people running around. And I don't mean that the superficial way, you know. Not like how we see in Hollywood, you know, our media and you know, the machine, you know, that pumps the ideas, you know, that we think like what good looking should look like, you know, has been distorted, right? So that, you know, people can make money. But realistically, though, a healthy body is trim, okay? And I'm not trying to, you know, my overweight brothers and sisters out there, you know, we all struggle with our own thing, and everybody's body's a little bit different, you know. This isn't a personal attack on y'all, but it just is a matter of fact that, you know, a healthy body is trim. Now, you could be unhealthy and be underweight, super skinny, you know, and that's a different thing. But that equilibrium, that's just where it is. So, disease will be gone. We won't be eating as much. And we're going to be looking better. And consequently to that, when you look better, what? You also feel better. You're going to be feeling better. A lot of people are going to be feeling better. I've already talked about how psychic awakening is going to happen more often. More people are going to have these gifts. Which means you're going to have to work on your intentions. You're not going to be able to get away with bad intentions. Now, in the golden age, people, these narcissistic personalities and wicked people that we deal with today, they're not going to be around. They're not going to make it. They won't be able to make it. Okay? So, you know, really won't have to, I guess, worry about that too much. But I guess if there was some folks around who had the capacity to be wicked like that and deceive people, they're going to have a hard time getting away with it, because most people are going to be able to just sense and see through the garbage, the BS. Okay? So that's going to be another thing that's going to happen. Oh, what else? What else can we look forward to for the golden age? So that was health and wellness that we went into. Technology. Let's go into that a little bit. What is technology going to look like? Well, it's not going to look like Blade Runner. I know we see these movies and we see this idea that the future is going to be this kind of like, you know, foggy, you know, dark neon, you know, kind of type, you know, post-dystopia kind of type looking thing, but it's really not. It's actually going to look more natural. We're going to get more back in touch with nature, which is where we need to go. It's actually our future is going to be a combination of taking the good things that we've made here in the present and then combining what we've done in the past. The good things. And we're going to go back to that, which is good. Okay? So technology is going to be a little bit different. Power and energy is going to be different. It's going to be free. Free energy. Can you imagine that? And I'm pretty sure it might even be wireless. I mean, I haven't read some these are my predictions. These are based off of things I've read and just what God speaks through me and tells me and how I see the dominoes falling out. But I imagine it being more like Tesla, right? Tesla found a way to have free energy, and they shot that down, right? Because if something's free, then how can you make a bunch of money and create power and wealth off of that, right? So but we're gonna go back to that. Consequently, though, internet's gonna be about the same. We're gonna have high-speed internet. We'll still have that, so that's good. It'll probably be even higher speed. Our technology for communication is gonna still be like what we're used to. All right. Spirituality is going to be a big thing. So this religious dogma that we're used to seeing now, this, kind of type, crusades kind of type mentality, that we're used to on all sides. You know, there's been types on all sides about it, but definitely, I mean, you know, the Catholic Crusades and all that, you know, is a big poster child of that ideology. But there's other religions that have been pretty dogmatic too. But those are not going to be around. It's going to be more spiritual. It's going to be more about you tapping into your higher self, and they're going to actually, that's going to be what's going to be taught. I think education's going to become more personal, more like homeschool or community school kind of type, you know, more of like a Waldorf type education system. This, you know, march kids up in a line and kind of, you know, public education that we know of today, you know, it doesn't work anymore. It worked at one point, it did, but it's just not working anymore. And that's going to be a change. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a good change too. I really do. You know, we don't need no education. Boom, ba-na, ba-na. Sorry, that just came to my mind. Pink Floyd. What else? Man, what else to look forward to a golden age? I've already been preaching about how it's going to be a flip, right? The way our world works, our society, our reality, it's kind of like a pendulum. It really does. Things go from left to right. It switches from black to white, duality style. And so there's going to be a big shift in who's going to be rich or who's going to inherit the earth, as the Bible says. And the meek will inherit the earth, like the Bible says. Okay? And the Bible's not the only, you know, religion out there, you know, spiritual teaching out there that goes into that. Yeah, there's going to be a shift in power. And all these wicked, nasty people who have had power for so long that we're used to seeing, they're not going to have it anymore. This is also why they're trying so hard to delay the ushering in of a golden age. They don't want it. They don't want it. Why would they want it? They've been in control and in power for so long, they're addicted to it. They don't want to give it away. And most transfers of power are like that. The crown doesn't just want to hand it over. The one who's wearing it. So it's not a surprise that they want to delay, hit the snooze button on the inevitable rising dawn of the golden age. They can delay it all they want. It's going to come no matter what. You know. That's honestly why you see so many, like, you know, Christian religions kind of pushing this whole, like, you know, you're going to go to hell if you don't think the exact same thing that I do and all that. They want to keep as many people as they can in low-level brain, low-level thinking, low-frequency mindset. Because they know that if they could keep most of the population of the world like that, they can keep it from coming. Delay it. But you can't stop everyone from elevating. Okay? Slowly but surely it will happen. Yeah, certainly. So if you ever wonder why the church does that, that's why. They want to keep the same people in power. So there's going to be a shift in the power dynamic. Government's going to change a little bit. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be less. It's going to be different because our money is going to be different. Gold is going to be a bigger thing. Bartering is going to come back more. This like paper fiat currency that we're used to isn't going to be around. That's not going to be a thing. I mean, if it is, it's the value of it is going to go so down that it's going to be like worthless. You're going to need wheelbarrows full of money to buy like a bag of bread or something like that. Like that's where it's going to be. Okay. But with that, there's going to be a change in government. Yeah. Because what's going to happen, there's going to be a change in our society and the government's not going to get as much tax revenue from the people that it's used to getting. And when that happens, Sorry to say this, guys. I know our government wants you to think that they love you and they're going to do everything they can for the little guy and all that, but when they quit getting their tax revenue, guess what? They're going to quit helping the people. Yeah, they're going to quit doing their job. They're going to quit doing the things that they swear on oath that they're going to do. They're going to pull back. So all of these government agencies that are, you know, that there is bloated. We have a bloated government now. There's way too many people. We have way too many elite families that got all their kids in, you know, looking out for themselves and their own family. And there's so many of them now. It's just bloated. You got to dump some of them out of the boat. But anyway, so that's going to change. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to have more of like spiritual gurus that are going to help. More white magicians are going to come up. And they're going to take their place back in leadership like they should have. Like back in ancient days. Yeah, guys, in ancient times, white magicians, spiritualists, people who were close to God, had positions of power. Not ultimate power. A lot of times they were counselors to pharaohs or kings or you know, people who did have power. But they were there, and they were there to help guide and to give wisdom. Inspired and ordained by God. That's the point, right? We've gone away with that in our modern society, but that's coming back, and that's going to be a good time. That really will. It'll be really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of people get a change up. You know, this is a little off topic, but you know, I got into like a little, you know, Facebook kind of, you know, squabble about, you know, somebody posted something about, you know, talking about how like, oh, well, I miss America back how it was in the 70s, you know, doing that whole, you know, nostalgia boat thing, you know, I want to go back. And I had made the point, I said, well, you know, I bet the Native Americans thought the same thing. And you know, oh man, the fight that sparked off, you know, a lot of people got on. And my point was that, like, you know, you can't, you know, things change. You can't force something to be exactly the same, especially like when you know the history, right? Like, you can't expect to keep something that you took forever, you know? Somebody's going to just take it from you. Especially if you're not in alignment with God's will, right? What makes you think that you could do that? That God's not going to allow somebody else to take something from you that you took from somebody else? You know, that's not how the law of the circle, right? Which is a law divine by God. You know, what you put out is going to come back to you. Yeah, and America had a long time. America had a long run to make it right and to do good. But you know what? They got proud and arrogant because those wicked men got in their spots of power and figured out, hey, we could keep it like this forever. No, you can't. So, those are some things to look forward to in the new coming permanent golden age. This video got a little bit long and rambled on, but you know, that's how they come out, guys. I don't write these things down. I just say what the Lord inspires me through in the moment. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it takes a while, you know, like it. That's how a channel message works. I don't have a bulletin board. I'm not reading a script. You know? I really am looking forward to it, though. Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready for a change. And they want you to think that with change, it's going to be, like, horrible. They want to scare you into that. But, like, you know, that's just so they can keep power. That's like what a bully would do. Oh, if you think it's bad now, wait till somebody else comes around and gets control. It's really going to be bad for you then. You know, yeah, says the man with the gun. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like that lyric, that Pink Floyd lyric. Man, I love Dark Side of the Moon, you know. Trying to think specifically what he said. You know, look out, son, says the man with the gun. You know, I feel like that's a small line verse, but man, there's a lot to be said right there, right in there. How people who have power and control want to tell you that you're being dangerous, but they're the one holding the gun. You're being dangerous. Oh, you're a danger. Yeah, it's like that sometimes. I always thought that was weird too, like with occult studies. You know, these wicked people that want to keep all the good stuff about the light, you know, and the great brotherhood of light and all that stuff. They want to keep it hidden, and they want to say, well, it's dangerous in the wrong hands. And it's like, yeah, says the guy who's got the weapon in their hands. This is dangerous in somebody else's hands, so I'm gonna hold it. You know, like that's how they are. It's funny to me. Oh. But yeah. Guys, it is good. It is good. I know I speak of some dark topics and I get kind of serious and I could probably come across cynical, but I love God. I love people. I love my family. I love my community. You know? I only get like this because it just is. It's frustrating to see so much injustice. And I understand we don't live in a fair world. We really don't. But there could be a lot more justice than is. And that's, you know, that's what I get frustrated about. Because it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be this way, the way that we're doing it now. It really doesn't. There are good things about what we're doing now. And we could take that, and should, and move that forward. But there are a lot of things that have been carried over from, they're just old curses that our races, right, that our race has taken over from the past. We have brought that from the past. They're curses of the wicked things that we had to do back then. You know, in ancient times and in other times, it did require a different mentality. And maybe it worked for them then. But times change. You can't do the same thing and keep expecting the same results. Or different results. You know. It's kind of like, you know, the education system. Our education system's so flawed right now, but like, instead of just, honestly, just like, at this point, you know, pulling the weed out of the flower bed and then just starting over, you know, they just want to, you know, double down, thinking that it's going to get different results, and it's not. And so you have to ask yourself, are they just stupid? Which, I mean, you know, there's probably some of that there. Or is it on purpose? Right? Because they don't care about the results. They just want to keep things the same way because it benefits a small group of people that have a large amount of power. That's, you know, that's the kind of stuff that, like, you know, when I get on here and I share and you know, talk, I mean, that's what I get into. Other than that, like, I love people. I look so forward to, you know, all kind of things. The future, you know, with my family. I wouldn't mind, you know, maybe even doing like a, I don't know, a counseling session or something. But anyway, I've definitely really rambled off on this one. Y'all have a good day. Love y'all.